The 2015 rule required local governments to track patterns of poverty and segregation with a checklist of 92 questions in order to gain access to federal housing funds. Rickbone rapey photo. President Donald Trump is threatening to revoke a sweeping Obama-era fair housing rule, stepping up his administration's efforts to gut anti-discrimination laws amid a national reckoning with race. Trump cast the 2015 affirmatively furthering fair housing rule as a campaign issue with a thinly veiled warning to the great Americans who live in the suburbs that Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden would bring chaos to their neighborhoods. Advertisement at the request of many great Americans who live in the suburbs, and others. I am studying the AFFH housing regulation that is having a devastating impact on these once thriving suburban areas, Trump tweeted Tuesday night. Corrupt Joe Biden wants to make them much worse. Not fair to homeowners, I may end. Trump's administration has already worked to weaken fair housing rules on several fronts. In last year alone, the Department of Housing and Urban Development has proposed rolling back two key Obama-era rules meant to crack down on housing segregation, including the 2015 measure that Trump is now threatening to revoke entirely. HUD did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Trump's tweet Wednesday. HUD Secretary Ben Carson, who had already effectively delayed enforcement of the AFFH rule by 5 years, in January unveiled a proposal to water it down by redefining the way jurisdictions are required to promote fair housing and scrapping a key assessment tool used to map patterns of segregation. The 2015 rule, which the Obama administration introduced to bolster enforcement of the landmark Fair Housing Act of 1968, required local governments to track patterns of poverty and segregation with a checklist of 92 questions in order to gain access to federal housing funds. Since the issuance of the 2015 final rule, HUD has determined that the current regulations are overly burdensome to both HUD and grantees and are ineffective in helping program participants meet their reporting obligations, the agency said when it rolled out the revision in January. The proposed revision came on the heels of another significant rollback. HUD last August proposed revamping a groundbreaking 2013 disparate impact rule to make it harder to prove unintentional discrimination and give defendants more leeway to rebut the claims. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, meanwhile, has proposed cutting back on collecting data that helps track discrimination in the mortgage market. The agency has filed fewer anti-discrimination enforcement actions under the two directives installed by Trump. Let's block ads. Why?
Show your love for him. Click the link in description. Thanks for watching.